morning. Thanks for joining us today on Realty Check with Trish Williams. I am happy to have you guys here this morning. And please, if you're watching the show, please download us on iTunes so you'll get alerted every time that we record a new episode. And give us a review. Take a minute to post a review. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We love feedback, so it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. We really want to hear what you guys are thinking about our show. This morning I have a guest with us. He is a realtor. We're in this series talking about what it's like starting a career, how to start a career in real estate. And we're talking about your first year in real estate, what to expect, what you can anticipate. So we have a first-year realtor with us. Aaron, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Trish. My name is Aaron Dalzell with Keller Williams, the Marketplace One over in the Summerlin office. And yeah, I've been a licensed real estate agent now since really September. Feels like 5 years already, but we're getting going and starting to get my feet wet and understand more and more. And every day is new challenges and experiences, and I've loved every bit of it so far and can't wait to see the rest of where it goes.
Absolutely. So you're kind of crazy. You started September 2020?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So everything that happened in 2020, you said, I'm just going to start a career in real estate.
Pretty much that's how it happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations for that. So we want to hear about that today.
Okay.
So we want to hear what that was like, what things that you did expect and didn't expect to happen.
Yeah.
What is this first year like? So Aaron, tell me, so you've been September 2020, is this like, so you've been, what, 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, right about there. I mean, you have September, October, November, December, about 4 or 5 months now,
okay.
4.5 months.
Great. So what you learned in school and what actually happened when you started in real estate, tell me a little bit about that. Was that different?
It was 100% different. I mean, so I originally started taking the classes online. I was doing it at night. I had another business that was my income. And so I started, as I got into the industry, I'd been around real estate for years as an investor, as a landlord. It's always been a passion of mine. I've just loved it. I've always been hands-on with things that I do, from, the honey-do list at your house, construction, and things like that. So I've always been drawn to it. And we got to a point where it was something that I wanted to try and look into. And I thought, okay, here's an easy way. It's not going to take away too much from my schedule. I'll do the classes online at night. And really started before, like the first of 2020. It was actually February of 2020 is when I started. Okay. So I didn't really know what was happening at that point, just that I wanted to start it. So I started taking it, and I was going through all the chapters and all the material, and I was loving it, tons of information, and I got just almost information overload. They say that paralysis by analysis, there's just so much coming in. And I got overwhelmed for a minute on trying to memorize everything. Thinking that you've got to know every little thing and every, statute and everything off the top of your head at a given moment.
They give you a 300-page law book, and they're like, you need to know this.
Right. So then getting to your point is that, once I passed the test, I found, got through the general, got through the state exam. Well, I guess it was hard to get because once I completed, my other business, was affected by everything that happened in March and shutdowns and stuff. So I finished it, but then I had nowhere to take my test, because everything was closed,
shut down, Yeah.
So that became an interesting process, got that done. And then once I got into the office, I realized paper is one thing, but reality is another monster. And it was, so the long-winded version to answer your question is that we're completely different. It's night and day. Yeah. One is just read, and now you're interacting with people. Now you've got to know, they're asking questions, potential clients and buyers and sellers are asking questions that they didn't give you, scripts for trying to pass the national and state exams.
They didn't even tell you scripts was a thing that you needed to know, right?
Exactly.
It's so much more into it than you could ever imagine. Right. So about that, when you got your license, I'm sure you probably, like myself, I remember thinking I'd get my license and buyers are going to call and say, wow, you have a real estate license. Let's go buy a house.
Sure.
Did it work that way?
No. So I had the same thought process as you. As I passed the test. This is great. I had like a mini freak out moment, like, okay, now I'm liable for somebody's biggest asset, and I don't want to mess up that event. But yeah, I thought, okay, I'm going to go into the office. Someone's going to hand me a list of all these buyers, or I'm going to sit down at a desk, and this phone is going to ring, and I'm just going to, my biggest issue is going to be like, how do I take care of all this business?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's just going to come pouring
It's just
in.
going to come, and you're just going to be out showing
Yeah.
homes every day. I was like worried about like,
Yes.
oh, what am I going to do when I show the homes? But then I was like, wait, there's nobody to show homes to. What do you do here?
100%. So yeah, I got there and I'm like, now what happens?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, the phone wasn't ringing, and I realized very quickly, you know, I'm one of umpteen thousand agents in Nevada.
About 13,000.
Yeah, so
maybe these days around 15.
So
I don't know, but yeah.
why are they going to call me? Do they even have my number? Do they even know me? Nobody even knows I have my license, you know? So it's like, yeah, I had that reality check that set in. It's like, okay, now what? Your phone's not ringing.
Yeah, right. So now you have to go
find
business. And finding business can be one of the biggest challenge for first-year agents. I think that, you know, there's a very high percentage of first-year agents that don't continue in real estate afterwards because they struggle finding business. Sure. It's not as easy as it seems. And one of the things that I struggled with when I started was I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people. I'm very social. I was raised in Vegas. You know, I know a lot of people around this town, but even your closest friends and relatives are hesitant to do business with a brand new agent on their biggest investment, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was a struggle. You know, I had I had a mentor walk me through. But did you see that? Have you encountered those obstacles as well?
So yeah, absolutely. And the first thing, you know, I was taught, you know, when I got in there is, you know, your SOI, contact your sphere of influence, contact them. So I started reaching, mine wasn't quite as big. You know, I'm born and raised in California, then came from Arizona to here. So I had some contacts and stuff here, but I started calling my friends and stuff like, well, you don't want to sell? But I was told just to call you basically, and my sphere of influence, somebody would need to sell or buy. And the timing just didn't work out. So for me, yeah, it was a struggle trying to get a hold of people. And then to your point is, you don't have a resume. Wait, you know, you don't have any testimonials. You know, you don't have any, well, ask so-and-so how their last transaction worked. Or my last transaction, we encountered this or that, or this was the stats from my last. You don't have anything. So yeah, it is kind of trying to get that first person to believe in you and trust you as much as you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, get that first one under your belt. And from there, you know, it's been a lot smoother, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, once you have that first experience, you kind of know what to navigate through.
Right.
So true story. I'd love to share this one because it's hilarious to me looking back. But my very first sell was I was hosting an open house for another agent. It wasn't my listing. I was just sitting there at an open house for another agent. And a buyer walked in and said, I want to make an offer on this house. And I'm like, oh, like now? And I had no idea what to do, right? I was like, what do I do now? I was just thinking like find a buyer, work with them, someone guide me through. But he wanted to write an offer right then and there. So I was always told to bring a blank purchase contract with you to open houses, which was a good thing. So I actually did need it. I pulled it out, and I had a mentor at the time. So I called my mentor, and I had him walk me through line by line what to fill out over the phone with the buyer standing right there. And the buyer looked at me and said, have you ever done this before? And I said, no, I haven't. I'm not going to lie. But the guy on the phone has for 30 years. So you're in good hands. Don't worry about it. It all worked smoothly. I definitely hit a lot of obstacles and a lot of things that or learning experiences through it, but everything worked smoothly. They got their home. They were in their home for a while. I just sold their home for them last year. So it was,
That's awesome.
It was a good, everything turned out well. So as long as you're in a place where you have someone with experience to guide you through, you're going to be fine. You know, it's having the care, having enough care to be able to take care of your clients and be committed to taking care of them through the process is really what's important.
Absolutely. And mine was very similar, is that I was lucky enough to get into, we have a productivity coaching program in the office now. So I have a mentor there that she helps me and walks me through everything. And she has the experience, and we're backed by a team, like you said. And I went on my first listing appointment, and it was a home up in the Southern Highlands area. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to go. I got my folders, I got my stuff, like you said. And I went in there just thinking like, this is going to be a good experience. And we had a great conversation. And at the end of it, they're like, you know what? We had 2 more interviews set up, but we like you. We believe in you. We're going to go with you. And I'm like, outstanding. And I had that moment that you just described. And I was like, awesome. Now what? And so I immediately got on the phone and I text my mentor and my productivity coach. And I was like, awesome news. I got the listing. Bad news. I got the listing. You know, I'm like, now what? You know, like had that mini freak out. So like you said, I mean, for newer agents, I mean, the mentorship, you got to have it. You just can't do it on your own. And for those new agents that come in and think they've got it figured out because they read the books, they took the test, back to your original question, like, so much is different, and having that mentor
they read the books, they took the test, they bought a home, or they, you know, people think they have that experience, but you really do need someone that knows what they're doing to be able to coach you along. And you know, there's fees involved in that, of course, but it's an investment. 100%. Oh my goodness, it's not. I could not imagine being back in that spot on my own. Like it was, I don't know. I see some agents that do it and they, you know, they fell and they don't even know how they failed, but they see things as an expense. It's not an expense. I mean, even if you were to make $0 at the end of your first couple transactions, the experience is going to make you more money in the long run.
You're spot on. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So that's great. So so your first deal was a listing?
Yeah, so it was a listing, and it came. So when I got on, you know, you asked earlier, you know, leads and finding people. I did everything everybody was doing. If you're doing X, I'm doing X. You're doing Y, I'm doing Y. And so I just started spreading myself across every lead source, and I was just treading water. I wasn't really getting anywhere, but I was trying to do everything everybody was doing. You know, kind of what they're doing. I guess that's what I should do, and didn't really know much. And contacting sphere of influence, and I actually. Got a call from my other business of somebody who had seen my card and a flyer that I had, and they called and they said, hey, we have some real estate questions and stuff, and, you know, kind of walked right into it. And they're like, you know, we're getting ready to move out of state and would like to have you come by the house and take a look and see what your thoughts are and see what kind of options we have here. And so I guess hindsight, I luckily kind of fell into that first one.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you hit the ground. You passed out cards, you passed out flyers, that was another thing in my first year. You know, I passed out so many cards and flyers, and my husband, we'd have like a thing where he'd say, you know, pass out 10 cards before you come home or whatnot. So I'd be out, you know, just passing out cards to random people at grocery stores. Someone makes eye contact. Hey, here's my card, call me. And it feels like it's for nothing, right? When you're passing it out, you're like,
this is never going to be
It's never going to work. Yeah, I'm wasting my time. It's never going to work. And then it does. And then that person calls from your card. Or I had one time even, it was 2 years later, I ended up with someone I had given my card. I gave them, you know, a business card magnet. And 2 years later, I was in the house, actually, because I bought the house. Funny story, but whatever. But I was in the house, and my card was still on his fridge.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's
yes,
awesome.
he kept it. You know, all that time, you think that they forget about you because you never hear about them. So that is very, it's not for nothing.
Sure,
I agree. It's not for nothing. It's just the consistency of it. Get out there, keep in contact, make those calls, make those contacts every day, and eventually something will come out of it.
And I think your point too is that handing out the cards, I think it's all about your mindset and your approach to handing out the cards. If you go in thinking this is just a chore, you know, I've been told I got to hand out cards, and you're just walking around going here, 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 here. That's what you're going to get out of it. But as you're walking people, you're meeting the store, hi, you know, this is who I am, you know, oh, great to see you, you know, and you find a nice car if you're at the gas station, you know, very nice, you know, clean, and you hand them your card. Then they kind of attach that conversation and that emotional rapport piece to your card, and you end up with yours on the refrigerator how many years later, not just in the trash can, you know, as they're leaving somewhere.
Right, because they're like, I like this person. Whenever it's time, and that's the thing with real estate, just because you talk to somebody today and they own a home doesn't mean they want to sell it today.
Right.
You know, it's not, you're not going to. I don't know. I think some people have the mindset like you're going to talk someone into selling that doesn't want to sell, or like, you know, people, a realtor will talk to them and they're like, oh, you own a home, and they're like, no, I don't want to sell. I'm not trying to talk you into selling your house. Like, if you don't want to sell, it's all good.
Right.
But the thing about it is, when you do, if you do, then I want you to think of me. That's
Right.
all. That's all we want out of you. That's all we want out of you in the public, is when it's time to sell, to buy, to do anything, we just want you to think of us.
100%.
So that it's just staying top of mind. That's all we're really looking for. So how long did it take you to get that first sale from the time you were licensed?
It felt like years.
Okay.
But honestly, I got my first, so I got it about the end of October, because our closing date was estimated right about Thanksgiving. You know, it was a contingent deal on the buyers selling their home first. There was a few day delay, then we hit the holidays, so it closed, you know, right about the 1st of December. But yeah, I finally got my first listing, or my first deal in general, you know, right about the end of October 2020.
Okay.
So about a month and a half.
Wow, that's
and
good.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and like I
good.
said, it felt like much longer, and I look back now and I'm so appreciative of how soon it came.
Wow, yeah.
But I tell you, the month and a half leading up to it might have been dog years. It felt like a year had gone by, and I started kind of losing that fast, because you're putting in all these calls and you're making all these contacts, and it feels like, you know, hours of prospecting and stuff. I mean, it feels like days and weeks, and
Yeah.
so looking back, I was very fortunate.
That is good. Mine was about 3 months, and I remember even that day sitting at that open house saying, like, did I make the right decision? Like,
Yeah, I 100%.
you know, the day that happened, I was second guessing my entire, you know, career choice that I made. I was like, what am I doing? Because I had multiple open houses. I had done a lot of things up until 3 months, you know, during that time. I had worked with a couple renters. I do think advice for new agents, my advice to give new agents is start with renters, because it gets you comfortable with showing homes and seeing homes and working with people, and gets you meeting people, because renters also have friends.
Absolutely.
And they will tell people about you, and not all their friends are renters, and some people are renting temporarily. I think it's a good place to start. Unfortunately, when you get really busy in real estate, in the business, it's hard to work rentals, because
Right.
you have contract obligations with your clients. You have, you know, listings. You have listing contracts with them. When you have buyers contracts with them. You can't interrupt your duties to your clients to be out showing rentals that you do not have any contractual
Right.
obligation to. So people think that it's, I do think some people think it's like rude of realtors to not
Right.
work with renters, or people get offended by it. But it's not really that. It's just because of what we have and the obligations we have, it makes it challenging on us. And I think it's a very good thing for, you know, new agents to get used to showing houses, to opening lock boxes, to knowing how to read the MLS. I think it's a good thing to start that way.
I would agree 100%. I actually, when I first started in the office, and when my phone wasn't ringing,
Right.
you know, there was people in the office, hey, can anybody help show a property today? You know, can anybody, you know, other agents who had those contractual obligations you're speaking of, they were looking for some newer agents that were hanging out in the office and trying to learn and make those calls. And so, you know, just kept putting my hand up like, yeah, I'll do it. And like you said, the first time I went to open a lockbox, I was shaking a little bit like, I hope this works. I hope this works. Yeah. So, you know, it's really nice to get that experience and stuff.
So you feel comfortable with
100%.
it. Yeah. And you learn how to talk to people, how to walk through a house with somebody. You know, you don't get that experience. It's on the job experience. It just is. You just don't get, there's no training that could equal the same. So that is a very good way to start. Our market right now is insane, right? It is. I thought last year was crazy, but now 2021, wow. Okay, 2020 was nothing. We're at, as of yesterday, we were below 2,500 homes in inventory in Las Vegas, which is the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
And low inventory means not only that homes are selling immediately, it's great to have listings when there's low inventory because you control the whole everything,
Sure.
the transaction completely.
Right.
But low inventory working with buyers is so hard. So hard because you're literally out there showing homes. There's lines in front of these homes to see them. There's buyers lined up. People are fighting over it. Sometimes we work with buyers that don't have money to pay over or
Right.
out of pocket, and they need help with their closing costs, and it can be so challenging, even for experienced agents. How are you handling this?
Yeah, I think that sums it up. It's just a deep breath.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the kind of thing that's worked in my favor is that just getting licensed and being active since September, this is kind of the market I've known.
That's
you know,
good.
obviously it's changed a little bit, yes, but even when I came in September and getting my feet wet and stuff, I've been in a market where inventory has been low. You know,
Yeah.
not quite this low, but still, you know, you were talking in December, 3,300 homes. So we've been there.
Yeah.
So most of my deals that I've done so far, I have been on the listing side.
Oh, that's good.
You know, so
That's
yes.
great.
So yeah, I mean, the very first listing I had, we went active on a Monday. We were in contract with multiple offers on Friday.
Yeah.
You know, we have one in escrow right now, 7 days in. So you're right, that part is great, and it's, I guess, from the selling part, the difficulty is just letting the sellers know is like, okay, we're not just going to take anything that walks in. We want the right offer for your home that makes sense. You got to weed through, because you're right. There's contingencies on now people that need to sell their home first, and different types of loans and cash people trying to come in and sway you by coming under, but it's cash, and so that part's been wild. The few buyers that I have, they're from out of state actually, and they're looking to come in end of summer, you know, around that time. And I'm telling them now, how am I working with buyers? I'm telling them now, you better start looking and getting ready now, because you have to be ready to go on a moment's notice, and you have to be prepared with your offer, your pre-approval, having your funds ready, and you know,
And a strategy.
Yeah, you've got to make yourself stand out. Like the line you talked about. If you're 15 deep, how will we differentiate our offer from the other 14 that are coming in today?
Yeah. What is your strategy? What are we going to do? And getting the buyers ready. Yeah, it's not. I did a post on Facebook yesterday. It said it's just not the market to be wishy-washy. You know, those buyers, they're like, oh, I want to think about this house for 3 days, and I get it. It's just not the market for it. It's not that house will be gone in 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
You're right. We had an agent had a really funny saying. She works in our office, and she says, if you sleep on it, you're probably not sleeping in it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's 100%. That's just the market we're in.
You gotta go.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great that you're in this market, so it's not shocking to you, I guess.
Right.
So when I started in real estate, we were in a short sale market. My first listing was a short sale. Took 2 years to close, but no big deal. We had like
much different market now.
Yeah, I don't know, 6 different contracts with buyers. Wow. It was just ongoing, and then the bank finally just gave in and said okay, you know. But that was nothing.
Yeah.
I just thought this was normal how real estate works, you know. So that was you don't seem to be as shocked by it if that's what you're learning. I know the difference between now and then on the buyer side. We used to be able to negotiate offers, and now it's like, no, there's really not a lot of negotiation you could do with the buyer other than the win. You know, the buyer's like, well, I want to feel like I win something. I want to feel like I got something out of this, and getting the house, and many times is the win.
Yeah, and even to your point too, I mean, even now buyers are having to be a little bit more cautious about their request for repairs, you know, because they're not being able to come in with this 20-item wish list anymore, because the seller's like, listen, we're not going through all that. We'll go to our next offer, you know, and a lot of these, you know, offers are now coming in with enough on the request for repairs to make sure the appraisals are met, safety concerns are addressed, but even that I've seen change just in my short time. I've even seen those
even in the last couple weeks,
have just really changed to be like very minimal. We want earthquake straps on the water heater and the one door hinges replaced, and we're good. You know, so
that's and that's true. That you know, the sellers can have backup offers, and that request for repairs, if it's ridiculous, The sellers can say, no, we'll just go with another offer.
Yep.
You know, we chose you for this reason, but these people say they don't care. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's tough for buyers out there. But the good thing for buyers is that interest rates are low.
Absolutely.
Historically low, and it really does make a difference. You know, it's what payment can you afford as a buyer versus the overall price. You know, a $400,000 house with a 6.5% interest rate will cost you a lot more than a $400 house with a 2.5% interest rate. So you definitely want to buy in this market.
Sure, absolutely.
With as crazy as it is, which is obviously the challenge. So if you were in your shoes, just finishing real estate school, okay, what advice would you give yourself?
It's a good, I mean, I think I can rattle on forever now about this, but it's the training, the test, they got you here. Okay, you got your license. Now find the brokerage that fits your style. And you mentioned it before, is that find a mentor. Find a mentor that's don't try to come in and reinvent the wheel. You're not gonna, trust me, if you're thinking of something, the agent that's working 5 offices down, who's been in the business for 15 years, they've done it, they've been there. They've thought about it too. You didn't come in with this brand new idea that nobody's thought of. So I suggest, find a mentor, find somebody that fits your style that you can rely on. So when you do get that buyer's contract you're filling out, or a listing agreement that you know that you've got the support that you need, and that somebody you can kind of vent to a little bit, the struggles, and let them pick you back up and just keep you headed in the right direction. Find the mentor, find a process that works for you. I'm a big believer in the process, and once you find the process, just stick to it. You know, I mean, a lot of people, and I'm a victim of it too, you know. I went in and I wanted to do what Trish was doing. I wanted to do what Tom was doing. I wanted to do what Susan was doing. And so I tried all these different lead sources, and you know, after a week or 10 phone calls, you're like, nope, that one doesn't work. Like, you gotta give it time. You gotta stick. You gotta water the plant. Let it grow.
Yes.
So I would say stick to the process. Just give it your all. Stick to it before you jump ship, and find a mentor.
Yes, chasing the shiny object.
Yes.
So yes, open house works for this person.
Yes.
I'm going to go do open house. You do an open house. This doesn't work.
Yes.
I'm going to go do this. And yes, there are so many different avenues. I had to learn this, through trial and error as well. So many different avenues to find business in real estate. Mm-hmm. Not all of them are going to work for you.
Absolutely.
Not all of them are working for every single person. You find what works for you, but you're not going to find that just trying once or twice. You've got to master it. Mm-hmm. And until you master something, you stay focused on that, you master that one thing, then if you choose to add or learn something else, add on to that. But you can get yourself all over the place, and then you're not good at anything.
100%. Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah, so you have to really find what is it that you're going to focus on and master it. And yes, brokerages and training. Again, people on my show will probably think this is like a, all Keller Williams promotions here, but I'm all for our company and our training and what we have to offer agents. When I originally started, we all know that there's other places out there that might have, what seems like better splits or whatever. But it's not. I don't think it's not. I don't see the value there now. But when I started, I said, I'm going to go in this company just for a year for training. And then I'm going to go off to somewhere else that, where I get better splits or whatnot. But what I realized is even today, you're not going to get the training you need in just a year. You get a lot of training in that first year, but then you're in another year and you need second year training and you need third year. And now I'm in like a bigger, I have a team and I need guidance and training for that. The training will never, ever end. You can always learn more. There's always more that you can do. There's always higher goals to reach. And it is, I never realized that real estate would be such a learning process, I guess. So much to learn. You just think it's, open doors, show houses, and it's done. Yeah. It has so much more to do with everything than that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that's why the training, when I first met, when you were going back to just your original question, what did you learn from the beginning to now, it's that training is irreplaceable. And when I went with our brokerage, when I sat with our team leader and our productivity coach, and the training is what I needed. And like you made a comment earlier about, if I didn't make anything on my first deal, the training alone and that experience, and that's how I viewed it. And the training has been irreplaceable. And now you've got mentors that are coming to you that are just down the hall that run monster teams and expansion teams, and they're offering their help to
telling
you.
you what to do and what you can do. Yeah.
It's priceless. And like you said, it's not a plug, but whatever brokerage, make sure that training fits your style. And for me, it was with Keller Williams in my office, and the training has been helped me get make these 4 months, 5 months much easier than
phenomenal. Yeah, I can't imagine being out there on my own in the beginning, and there's times that I was a listing agent recently in a transaction where the buyer's agent, I can tell by every conversation, he's new and he doesn't really have guidance or support.
Sure, yeah.
And it's obvious, it's just obvious in the conversations with him when he's, it's supposed to be negotiating with me, but he's asking me like, what should I do? And I'm like, well, you want me to tell you what to do? This isn't good for you. But the thing is that he doesn't, obviously, he doesn't have guidance on his side. And if I do try to be helpful, but of course it's not benefiting him much without that help. And there's so many brokerages and so many agents out there that don't have guidance.
Absolutely.
That don't have anywhere, and they can get themselves in a situation. Some of these agents out there are sharks. They will.
And you find out the hard way.
You got to have your guards up at all times. You look in all different directions. And it's not a very easy business at all times. It can be very, very cutthroat. And you really need someone navigating you through.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, thank you for being here today. And how do people, if they have questions for you, how do they contact you?
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me. It's been an awesome conversation.
Yes.
They can reach me. My number is listed right there on the screen, 702-244-0129. And anything that they can use or helpful or just advice or learning more about how I got to this point or things that I've struggled with or things I've overcome or just information, you can feel free to reach me there, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody.
Okay, amazing. And again, I'm Trish, and you guys know how to reach me, 702-308-2878. You have any questions for me, we're happy to help. And thank you guys for tuning into the show. Next week, we're going to be talking with Mia Wolf, and we're going to be talking about how to create business through social media in your first year. So that's a very fun way of going into starting business. I found that as kind of a preference of how I find business.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be discussing that and giving you some tips and tricks on how to do that. And we hope you guys join us again next week. Thursday, 9:30 a.m. We're live on Facebook. And if you don't get us live on Facebook, download us on iTunes. If you go on iTunes and you subscribe to us, you'll automatically be notified whenever we upload a new show. It's Realty Check with Trish Williams. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you.